computer says 10:30, so why don't we jump right in? I'm Mark Patterson, representing Walter Mosley as Secretary of State, and we'll kick off the February board meeting of the New State Cemetery Board.
Thomas Fuller, representing Dr. James McDonald, Commissioner of the Department of Health.
Jill?
And I'm Jill Faber, representing Attorney General Letitia James.
Great, so we got a full board, and I don't think a lot of business. So first order of business is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Can does anybody have any suggested changes, or questions, concerns about the minutes? All right, so I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as previously distributed. All in favor, or second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes are approved. Rob Vandervlies, do you have anything to report on legislation or regulations?
I circulated a legislative report to the board prior to the meeting. Does anyone have any questions?
No.
Hearing none, I have no regulatory update either.
Lewis, division report?
Okay, so I have some division staffing news to report. We have hired an investigator for our Binghamton office. I'm not keeping with my standard practice. I'm not going to name names lest I jinx the appointment and she don't start. But she is supposed to start on February 27th, and we're very excited about that. We also have a recommendation to hire a associate accountant to replace one of the two positions vacated by Carrie Ferrezzi. That one is pending with civil service. There's a little bureaucratic wrinkle. We expect that will get resolved within the next couple of weeks, and we should hopefully have a new associate accountant in that position by the time we all meet again. The assistant director search has not been successful. We just got a report. We literally have no candidates qualified for the position who've applied, so we are considering our options. That's it on the staffing front. I had one other thing I was going to report. Right, no, I'm not going to report that. There are two other things we were going to discuss, but I'm actually going to hold them for next month. I don't think I got anything else. Oh, sorry, I do. We are hosting, they're all on our website. We are hosting starting February 28th and continuing in early March. We are hosting so far 3. Alicia, I meant to talk to you about this because there's going to be one more. There 3 in-person sessions with our accountants. If you need help filling out your annual financial report, we will have accounting staff available to help you fill out those reports. First one's at Mount Calvary Cemetery on February 28th. The next 2, I want to say they're March 6th and 7th. I don't remember the dates off the top of my head. They are all on our website, dos.ny.gov/cemeteries, plural. So you can take a look at that. We are asking people to RSVP, and we're going to be providing them with individual times so you don't have to sit there and wait, at least not too long, while people are discussing their problems with our accounting staff. But this is a new thing for this year. We're very excited to be offering it. Credit to our accounting staff. I think a couple of them. I know, Sarah, this was partly your idea, but I think somebody else also suggested it, and I don't remember who that was. So, Charles, was this also your initiative? Can't remember. I know a couple of the accountants had suggested this. So obviously we've had some very good ground up developments, things that we've rolled out, which is very cool because there are only so many ideas I can come up with, and half of them are bad. So it's better. It's great where we can get everybody else to participate and come up with things that make life easier for the cemeteries that we regulate. We're also scheduling Cemetery 101s, but so far we don't have anything scheduled till June. That is not a reflection on how long we anticipate winter lasting. It's just when people have had venues available. We generally get going with those in April. So if people have venues, especially if you're listening out there in YouTube land, and you have a venue in a region we haven't been to, we would be delighted to do that. Even if it's someplace we have been, we'll consider that too. That's
Louis, you have in your written agenda, a note about clean up your cemetery day, or is that something you're putting off?
yeah, I can tease so clean up your cemetery day. I think I teased that at the last meeting. I wasn't going to do it again, but if it's there, I'll do it. Clean up your cemetery day is going to be April 26th. And we had over 24 cemeteries participate last time. We're hoping to have more. We've got a little working group working on the information we give out on that. Remember, this is really our role in this is really just to publicize it and give people the paper tools they need to get the word out. Sample ads, sample solicitations from local sponsors. We do intend to visit a bunch of the cemeteries that do it, but we don't fund this. It's not a state program, but what we really do is a concerted a media push / give you documents that you can use to go out and get support. And
we might want to mention that if people want to participate, they should sign up sooner than later, especially if they're going to be seeking donations from local businesses. Sometimes there's a lead time on that for them to be able to contribute.
I'm anticipating getting some messaging out to cemeteries at least, if not to the general public, the last week in February. I know I need to circle back with our little working group on this, and since I'm leaving for vacation tonight, that's not going to happen until I'm back.
Right.
Speaking
Okay.
of which, if you are somebody who regularly calls my cell phone, don't. It won't be working where I am. The Albany office does know how to reach me if you really need to reach me. And Mr. Fleming over there has both my temporary work cell and my personal cell phone. So you can always ask him. I really don't mind anybody calling me or emailing. I will be checking email periodically. I will be reachable by phone. I will also be trying to be on vacation, so I don't plan on spending the entire vacation on said devices, but you will be able to find me.
Well, that's a relief. Okay, any,
I'll also hopefully have a report back
questions for
from
Louis?
cemetery visiting internationally.
any questions the board members have of Lewis's report?
Yeah, where are you going on vacation?
You don't
have to say it
this is
publicly.
going to make it sound like I have a lot more money than I do. So take this with, this is not as expensive as it sounds. We're going to Paris for 8 days, which, believe it or not, costs only slightly more than going to Florida and costs less than going pretty much anywhere else warm that I was able to find, which is why we're doing it. Because the weather in Paris is just as dreary as it is here in New York.
Come on.
Which will be in Paris, so,
But we'll be in Paris. And
right.
there's lots of things to do indoors, so dreary is acceptable. And there will be fewer,
Okay.
hopefully there won't be mobs of people everywhere. But I do plan to go to Père Lachaise, which is, for the record, the first cemetery in the Western world. Before that, all burying grounds were associated with churches, synagogues, religious institutions, at least in the Judeo-Christian world. There was no such thing as a non-sectarian cemetery. Père Lachaise is the first one, even though it's named after a Catholic priest, Father Lachaise. And there are many, many famous, prominent interments there, and I absolutely intend to visit. And hopefully I have some pictures to share with.
I want a picture of your kids' eyes rolling back of their head when you get there. All right, let's keep moving on.
All of the guidebooks put it pretty
Alicia-
high on the list of places to visit.
Well trained. Alicia, in a temporary capacity, do you want to talk about?
The vandalism report.
Well, first, do you have statistics on annual reports or no?
I don't, I'm sorry.
Okay, they wouldn't have changed much since last month.
A little bit. So the reports are coming in. Mail is getting heavier and heavier each week. So this is annual report season. And get your reports in on time, please. Vandalism
More on that
report. Circulated the report. Anybody have any questions on that?
board members have any questions on that? No?
No, so one thing I would like to note is that we are on track to spend down the 2 million. We right now have about 1.6 that have been paid out or is up in fiscal, ready to be paid out. So I think we're spending a little bit more than the past.
Great.
To be fair, we could use more money to cover what we're committing.
Sure, yeah, we've got a lot more
But
committed.
at the same time, because we pay these out over time, we don't anticipate a cash crunch like we had years ago when I first started, where the appropriation wasn't enough to keep up even with current payments. We anticipate no one having to be delayed in receiving a payment that they're ready to receive just because we've hit the 2 million.
All right, no other questions of division on the vandalism report. We'll move on to vandalism applications. We have two. Both are for dangerous monuments. The first is in Cuba, in Allegheny County, in the amount of $38,829. For somebody to present that to the board.
Yes, this is Michael Katina with investigator in Buffalo. One second.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, hang on. My laptop is
While
frozen.
Mike's talking, I'm just going to point out our next one, Maple Grove. There's an error on the posted agenda. The version we have here is fine, but there's an error in updating the agenda. Maple Grove is in Rensselaer County, and it's not in Saratoga County.
Yeah, hang on one second.
The amount and nature of the claim as on the agenda is entirely correct. We just got the wrong location. There's another typo on the agenda, which I'll mention when we get there.
Okay. Just give me. I'm just having a problem with the files on my computer here.
Mike, do you want me to do it?
No, I got it. Just pulled up, I think. Okay. It is Cuba Cemetery. It's a suburban cemetery in the village of Cuba, Allegheny County. It is a Louis, can you? My computer literally keeps freezing.
Give me a
I
sec. I don't
can
have it
present
up.
mine first while he goes. Would you like me to
Yeah, go
present
ahead.
mine?
Go ahead and I'll pull the other one up.
We'll swap it up and first talk about Maple Grove Cemetery in Rensselaer County, correct the agenda in the amount of $94,331.04. And Glenn will present the board.
This is known as another name, right?
Yeah, also known as Hoosick Falls Cemetery Association, which is a small cemetery in the south side of the village of Hoosick Falls. And final resting place of famous artist Grandma Moses, for those interested.
Wait, I didn't know that.
Yes, it is, yeah.
I have to go there.
Yes.
Len, you and I have to go there now.
Oh, yeah. We'll go when they finish repair, we'll go check it out. So we received an application for 50 hazardous monuments in the cemetery, and all these monuments under application are very old, and the cemetery was unable to locate any mailing address to the lot owners, which is not common for these older monuments. And the newest monument in this 50 out of the 50 is dated from 1939. So based upon this information provided to us, it's our understanding that the cemetery is determined that lot owners cannot be found. Included is one estimate from Humphrey Memorials for $94,040 for the repair of the monuments and foundation work. They proposed to pour the monuments to foundations at a depth of 42 inches, and they include a warranty for 10 years. I did visit the cemetery, and I was able to determine that all the 50 monuments are either loosened or foundation or tipping, and they do appear to pose a hazard to cemeteries visitors and the employees. I wanted to mention that the cemetery was having a hard time obtaining a second estimate. And included with the application is a letter from one monument dealer who declined to provide an estimate, and then through several other phone calls, the cemetery was unable to obtain an estimate. So I recommend that this application be approved based on the one estimate, and I consider it to be fair and reasonable based upon the amount and size of the monuments, and it falls in line with average cost of monuments in previous applications. So I recommend approval of this application, the amount of $94,331.04.
Right, the agenda says 47 stones.
No, it's 50. It is 50 monuments here, so that must be a typo.
And just when I thought this one didn't have a mistake on the agenda.
Okay,
Yeah.
so does anybody have any questions of the application on the board? Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the application of Maple Grove, also known as Stevens Falls Cemetery Association, for dangerous monuments, 50 dangerous monuments in the amount of $94,331.04, subject to the availability of funds. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Approved. Michael, are you back up online?
Yeah, and I have it now. I'm sorry about that. My speech recognition was on and it messed up some things on my
I didn't recognize.
desktop. So Cuba Cemetery is located in Allegheny County. It's a suburban cemetery. And they had submitted an application to repair 23 hazardous monuments. They did receive 3 bids, the lowest of which was $38,613 from Wright Memorial Works. And the warranty is 75 years, actually, longest I have ever seen. They also placed an ad in the paper for $216. That was Olean Times Herald to notify lot owners. They ran the ad for 3 consecutive weeks and got no replies. It is believed that it is known that the cemetery does not have contact information from anybody from that time period. The newest memorial was 1923, and again, they have no one to reply. I recommend approval of this for $38,829.
Okay, does anybody
Subject to
have?
availability of funds.
Yeah, I hear it. So if there's no other questions on the application, I'll make a motion to approve the application from Cuba Cemetery in Allegheny County, 23 monuments in the amount of $38,829, subject to availability of funds. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Applications are approved. Thank you. Move on to other business. First on my agenda is Woodlawn Cemetery.
Carrie, you on? You want to do it?
I'm on. I just had to unmute, sorry. Hi, this is Carrie McGovern with the Division of Cemeteries. This is an application from Woodlawn Cemetery, which is located in the Bronx, New York City, New York. And they are applying for nunc-pro-tunc approval of the installation of a columbarium located within the existing Van Cortlandt IV mausoleum. The columbarium consists of 4 structures, and there are 648 prefabricated niches. It was designed and installed by Biondan North America Incorporated and has a footprint of approximately 164 square feet. The installation took place in April of 2024. The total cost of this project was $513,624, and it was paid for out of the cemetery's general fund, which had a balance of $5,033,079 as of December 31st, 2023. This columbarium was originally included in a prior columbarium application that was approved by the board in February of 2024. But Woodlawn decided to split that original application in order to rethink these structures, these columbarium structures, and they would ultimately be installed in the Van Cortlandt 4 Community Mausoleum. They wanted to augment the original design by adding additional levels. After the approval of the original application, and due to mitigating factors, including changes in cemetery staffing and errors in internal tracking, the cemetery went forward with the installation of the Van Cortlandt 4 columbarium, thinking approval had already been granted. When the error was discovered, Woodlawn submitted a new and separate nunc-pro-tunc application. The cemetery hasn't sold any of the niches, and they're awaiting board approval before any of these niches are offered for sale. The structures have 9 levels. They provide 648 indoor glass front niches, and the cost per niche is going to range from $7,750 for a single niche to $35,000 for a family niche at the most desirable levels. There's a total projected revenue of $5,837,292. The niches will extend sales within the Van Cortlandt Mausoleum for up to 9 years, and the project is expected to pay for itself within 1 year. Woodlawn has a proven track record, and they have a continued demand for niche space and crypt space. The cemetery appears to be up to date with all annual reports, vandalism payments. They have a conflict of interest policy in place, and they could easily afford this project, which they did. The internal tracking oversights that led to this unit or these units being installed before approval was granted have been corrected. I recommend that the board adopt a resolution approving nunc-pro-tunc the application to install these niches.
But let me just add, I'm going to just apologies to Carrie. I'm going to restate what she said, just slightly
That's okay.
succinctly to tee up my next thing, which is basically these niches were included in their initial application to us in the last go around. They amended that application to delete them among others. Then, having forgotten that when we approved them that it didn't include that, they went ahead and put them in anyway. The first we learned of this was when they called us to say they would be submitting a nunc-pro-tunc application. So we never issued a notice of non-compliance, because by the time we learned of the non-compliance, they were already proposing to come into compliance. On these facts, we don't think we see absolutely no need to propose any further sanction or other action. They came clean to us. This was none of the. Oh, they've done this in a lot of mausoleums, and really the only concern one might have here is whether these niches would be bothering someone. They only got one complaint from one project, not this one, about the positioning, and once they explained to the lot owners what they were doing, they were satisfied. So, we think that they have now, by figuring out how to make sure this doesn't happen again and coming to us, come into compliance with the requirement to get prior approval. And in any event, they didn't sell any before coming to us.
Okay, thank you. Council?
No comments from council unless the board wants to articulate other options available in terms of
Or no?
No.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve a resolution approving the construction, installation of these columbariums, nunc-pro-tunc. Is there anything else is that how I phrase it? Second? All in favor? Aye. The application for Woodlawn Cemetery is approved. We have another one from Whitehaven Memorial Park in Monroe County, the mausoleum and PM.
Mike, you can do it?
Yes, this is Michael Katina again. Whitechapel Memorial Park is a large,
Not Whitechapel.
sorry, Whitehaven Memorial Park is a large full-service cemetery located in the town of Pittsford, Monroe County. They have applied for to build 2 mausoleum buildings along with a corresponding Supreme Court approval for loan from their permanent maintenance of $3 million. The cemetery currently has 2,277 niches with 141 remaining in inventory, and 607 crypts with 76 remaining in inventory. The 2 buildings they are proposing would combine for about 5,000 square feet with an additional 840 casket spaces, 880 grand front niches, 200 interior niches, of which 36 are single glass, 56 are double glass, 84 are single marble, and 24 are double marble. The total cost of the project is projected to be $3,848,900. Sorry, $3,848,925 with 848. Sorry, 800.
It's all about 3 million.
Yeah, generated from the general fund, and the 3 million coming from the permanent maintenance loan. The net revenue for this project is expected to be around $1,370,000. The cemetery posted construction notices November 12th, 2024, and no comments were received regarding the project. The division visited the site and noted that the location of the proposed project is across the street from the existing mausoleum complex and appears to conform to the layout of the cemetery. There are also no graves in the section where they propose to put this project. The division believes this will be a positive project for the cemetery and has recommended the approval specified in the memo included in the package.
So Mike, if I may, I'll just add the part about environmental review, seeker. The town reviewed this. I believe they seem to review it as an unlisted action. If they reviewed it as a type 1, they would have looped us in. They didn't. They issued a negative declaration, but what the town reviewed was the entire 7. I've seen different counts as to how many buildings they're building, but the entire multi-building complex, which may include an addition of mausoleums, a chapel building. We are looking only for our purposes. They've only sought approval for 2 buildings right now. So we looked only at those 2 buildings and doing our own environmental review. We recommend that the board also issue a negative declaration and authorize Mark to sign the draft part 3 of the environmental assessment form that we provided in the packet. Rob, I don't know if I missed that. Sorry, one other thing. Just a reminder that when the board looks at a PM, a request for a permanent maintenance fund loan, all we're doing at most, what we're doing is making a recommendation that to Supreme Court, because it's up to the court to consider. The court's the only one who gets to consider whether to grant to allow a loan against PM. Also, it's probably worth noting here that they are going to be paying themselves back with 2% interest. That's still a little less than they'd earn on the money if they invested it, but given the projection we have for the project, this is still all going to be profitable, so it totally makes sense. And we spelled out the resolution at the end of Mike and my write-up.
Okay. Councilor, anything to add?
No, nothing to add from council.
Okay, so it's 2, am I making 2?
Actually, I
Would you
should
like me
mention
to-
that the buildings, one of the buildings is itself over 4,000 square feet, which is why this isn't and the second, and the 2 buildings together are clearly over, because the second building isn't a negative number in square footage. So that's why this couldn't count as a type 2 for seeker review. So we do have to consider their part 1 and issue a negative declaration.
All right, and moving on to council. But,
Would you like me to read the
yeah.
the six-part proposed resolution?
Sorry, it's so long.
All right, so the proposed resolution is to approve the cemetery's application for approval of 2 mausoleums at a cost not to exceed $3.059 million, subject to receipt of all required local approvals and Supreme Court approval of a $3 million loan from the cemetery permanent maintenance fund on the terms the cemetery proposes. 2, recommend that Supreme Court approve the cemetery's application for approval of a $3 million loan from the cemetery's permanent maintenance fund on the terms the cemetery proposes. 3, find that the application before the cemetery board is an unlisted action for the purposes of seeker. 4, find that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impact. 5, approve the draft short form environmental assessment form parts 2 and 3, accompany this memorandum. And 6, authorize cemetery board chairperson Mark Pattison to sign the draft part 3 accompanying this memorandum.
Thank you. That motion is made. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of approving the application of Whitehaven Memorial Park for a mausoleum and PM loan? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is an application from North Rush Cemetery in Monroe County, major
Oh,
alteration.
This is the second typo in the agenda, Mark. The corrected agenda, which never made it to the website, should have said that this is North Ridge in Niagara County. All of the details are correct. It just has the wrong cemetery name and number.
Okay, who's presenting the application?
Sarah, do you want to do this? Are you on?
I can do it. Let me
Yeah,
pull it up
please.
here. I don't have it open, sorry.
Me neither, so. Just for the record, the cemetery number is 32015.
Okay, Northridge Burial Association is located in Niagara County. The cemetery previously was approved for a major alteration in, I believe it was October 2024. The cemetery board approved nunc-pro-tunc the cemetery's demolition of a former church and approved the construction of a new office building for a total cost not to exceed $166,074. However, the cemetery board is now asking to increase the maximum amount of the alteration to $191,074. The previous approval did not include certain necessary expenses. The cemetery is requesting to spend an additional $25,000 for interior work on the building for electrical materials and installation, heating system materials and installation, and miscellaneous plumbing for a small bathroom. The cemetery intends to use accumulated interest and dividend earnings from its permanent maintenance fund to cover the additional amount. And the cemetery had a surplus as of December 31st, 2023 in its PM of $268,209. After paying all expenses related to the major alteration project, the cemetery expects to still have a surplus of about $77,000 in its permanent maintenance fund. And in addition to that, the cemetery was issued a notice of noncompliance from the nunc-pro-tunc board order. The cemetery has agreed to transfer $5,000 from its general fund into its PM fund as a penalty for, I suppose, that applying for, putting an application in before they demolished the original church. The cemetery has provided an updated cost adjustment that justifies the increase in costs, and the cemetery board approved the cost. So we also recommend approval that the New York State Cemetery Board amend its approval to increase the maximum amount the cemetery can spend on the project by $25,000 for a total cost of $191,074.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Does anyone on the board have questions of this application?
Rob, should we take the non-compliance piece separately from the amended approval? Or should we do that now?
So up to you, up to the
Let's just
board.
approve the amended amount then. And then I'll talk about the non-compliance.
Okay.
No, the resolution or the,
So the division's proposed resolution is that the board amend its approval to increase the maximum amount the cemetery can spend by $25,000 to a total of $191,074.
okay, that's the North Rush Cemetery.
North Branch Change.
Okay, so that's the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? The
Aye.
previously approved application is amended. You have something to add in terms of the penalty, Louis?
Yeah, so what happened, we talked about this more at the previous board meeting where this came up, is that the cemetery came to us for approval to demolish this condemned chapel structure on its grounds, but before we were able to present a recommendation to the board, they went ahead and did it anyway. They're in mitigation, their explanation essentially is that the building was condemned, so they really had no choice but to act. And they also had a contractor to offer to do it for them for about 1/10 of the market price for the demolition. But there was a very limited window of opportunity to do that. I think the guy was actually leaving town. So they took advantage of that and went ahead and did that. They really should have let us know they were going ahead and doing that. We might have been able to have an emergency meeting and get approval. We might not, but at least we could have tried. The statute allows us to propose a penalty and the board to impose a penalty of up to $1,000 for a violation of the statute or regulations. In some cases where cemetery has a volunteer board and that penalty goes against the cemetery, not against the individuals on the board. In other cases where a violation is kind of more technical in nature and the cemetery's board is all volunteer, there's nobody being paid to do things wrong, we have used the tool of recommending that the cemetery agree to restrict a certain amount of unrestricted funds into PM. In other words, paying a penalty, but paying it to their own PM fund as opposed to us. So they still feel the pinch on the cash side, but the cemetery itself doesn't become twice the victim of its own misconduct. Where there's a way to avoid and we really only use this where we're dealing with a volunteer board and not paid folks, not abiding by the law, and where the non-compliance isn't really like egregious off the charts. So what we've proposed and the cemetery is willing to do is to take $5,000, which is 5 times the maximum we could impose for a single violation, and take that and take it and restrict it into PM principal. So again, they'll feel that they paid something, but they will in fact over the long term benefit from having the income and growth in PM. Rob, I'll leave it to you to, since we should have done a resolution on this. Rob actually drafted one and I did not share it with you guys. So I'm going to turn it over to him to take the lead on that.
I think Jill had a question maybe?
No, I was just saying that makes sense. And
Oh, okay. All right. So the proposed resolution is that the cemetery board accept the cemetery's offer to restrict $5,000 to its permanent maintenance principal in lieu of the cemetery board imposing up to $1,000 penalty for demolishing without prior approval.
Okay, any questions? I'll make that motion. Second,
Second.
all in favor? All right.
Aye.
That application is also approved. Next one is from Oswegatchie Cemetery, permission of abandonment. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. Corey Moore, Division of Cemeteries. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
All right. The Oswegatchie Cemetery is a small rural cemetery of approximately 3.2 acres located in the town of Fine, St. Lawrence County. It has been operated by a board of 6 volunteers who oversaw the daily operations as well as the maintenance of the cemetery. They conducted the maintenance on a volunteer basis, but the cemetery does contract the opening and closing of graves. Because much of the maintenance was completed by volunteers, the board was able to move the cemetery from operating at a financial deficit to creating a small surplus. But the division learned that the cemetery was at risk of abandonment in June of 2024. Senior investigator Mike Silman was contacted by then President Butch Brown and informed that the members of the board no longer wanted to continue serving. The same month of June, the cemetery scheduled a meeting between the board and its representatives from the town of Fine. This meeting was attended by Senior Investigator Mike Silman, and the abandonment process, in addition to various options to keep the cemetery active, were discussed, and hopefully to keep it from abandonment. The cemetery did explore the idea of being absorbed by another local public cemetery, but they didn't find any willing cemeteries to absorb them. The cemetery's board also attempted to recruit new board members, but were unsuccessful. The cemetery noticed and held a special lot owners meeting in July of 2024, and none of the individuals present at that meeting were willing to stand for election. It was at that meeting that the existing board decided that all of its officers would resign, but would be willing to assist with an orderly transition of abandonment to the town of Fine. Senior accountant Lisa Dooley prepared a financial viability calculation that reviewed the cemetery's assets and determined that if the cemetery needed to hire a contractor to perform the maintenance and closing or maintenance and mowing, they would only have enough resources to operate for 34.5 months. Currently, the cemetery has approximately $37,000 in assets with nearly $13,000 in unrestricted funds. The cemetery also has various equipment such as a John Deere garden tractor and hand tools to assist with maintenance. Since the cemetery does not have enough funds to fully support its continued operation, and with the resignation of all its officers, the Oswegatchie Cemetery meets the legal definition of an abandoned cemetery under New York State Town Law, Section 291. The town of Fine is fully aware of the pending determination of abandonment and has established a committee for the purpose of transferring and operating the cemetery. 2 former officers, Butch Brown and Gigi Hayden, have agreed to assist the committee in the town during this transition. The town has also been made aware of their eligibility to apply for grant funds to purchase equipment for the maintenance and repair of the cemetery and its grounds. And the determination of abandonment was drafted and mailed by the division to the town of Fine. One note to add is that I think in the preparation of the board packet, there was a missing resignation from David Hodge. That resignation was received last week. Yeah, we didn't find out about it in time to update the board packet. Butch, I think, had informed us that Mr. Hodge had resigned and had a resignation for him, but we didn't have it. And so we got that too late to update the board materials.
Okay. So.
The only other thing I'll add is that the town is well aware of this. We did email a copy of the as well as mailing out our proposed determination. We did email a copy to the town supervisor, and they were well aware of that before it anyway, because they were part of the discussions that led up to trying to see if we could identify additional trustees who'd be willing to keep the place going. So this is not going to come as a surprise to them.
Counselor?
Louis, it also went to the former directors of the cemetery.
Yes, but not by email.
You know, we might want to inquire as to whether or not anyone from the town or cemetery wishes to be heard.
All right. Is there anyone from the town cemetery that's on, online that wishes to speak to this matter? Okay. Good suggestion.
So the board standard here is to either confirm the division's determination, reverse the determination, or seek additional information.
But division is recommended that we accept.
Yeah, the division has made a determination that the cemetery is abandoned. The board's role would be to confirm, reverse, or additional information.
So I'll make a motion that we confirm the abandoned Oscogachi Cemetery is abandoned in the town of Fine. Is that right?
I think your motion is to confirm our determination that the
Okay.
Oscogachi Cemetery in the town of Fine is abandoned.
I'll let my motion be amended as Louis described. To have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oscogachi is now determined to be abandoned. Next is Macpilla Cemetery, Kings and Queens Counties. Non-compliance.
Macpilla and Malcolm Shalom together. So these two cemeteries we discovered that they had failed to submit a bunch of required documents. Most particularly, we did not have sections of 990s from either cemeteries. We did not have 2023 annual reports from either cemeteries. At either cemetery, we did not have a CPA review from Machpelah, which has to do one because it has over $1 million in total financial assets. We were also unable to locate certain additional schedules about perpetual care from both cemeteries. Since then, the cemetery provided us with the additional schedules, Malcolm Shalom, and said that we had them all along, that they had submitted them all along. I will not rule out the possibility that we misplaced these filings. I don't know there's no way of knowing one way or another. They admitted that they hadn't given us 990s. They admitted that they hadn't given us the 2023 annual reports. Malcolm Shalom got us their annual report within the time frame they promised to do that. I should have mentioned the same people run both cemeteries. Machpelah has not. Machpelah has indicated that it would be financially too burdensome for them to prepare CPA reviews, and I told them, but it wasn't clear that their accountant understood what the assignment entailed. I think it sounded like he thought we wanted a forensic audit, which is not the case. I know Manuel Blue, our accountant downstate, spoke with their accountant and explained what we need. I have not heard from them, nor have I gotten a 2023 annual report for Machpelah. That said, the automatic penalty on Malcolm Shalom would wipe it out completely financially. And the Machpelah penalty, while still leaving, if we could impose it against perpetual care funds, would wipe out everything but the perpetual care and a substantial part of that as well. So I've been in rather leisurely touch with the operator of both cemeteries. The short of it, the conclusion that where we're at is that we're extremely unhappy with their non-compliance. At the same time, I think it's probably worth postponing any decisions on whether to reduce, waive, or suspend any of these penalties for another month to encourage them to actually participate, ask us to do something, which I have done, but I'll do it again, and to give them more time to get their 2023 report in. Obviously, we don't want people just helping themselves to extensions. There's a reason we require these things. At the same time, these are pretty dramatic penalties. And I think it's worth tabling this for another month to see whether we can get everything we need and then work out they can make an application, which we can make a recommendation on to reduce the penalties in part and suspend them in further part, so that the cemeteries understand they have to comply, but that they're also able to keep operating. It's a long-winded way of saying let's come back to this next month. I just wanted you to understand exactly where we are, maybe share a little bit of my frustration with them, and let everybody out there in YouTube land understand that we are not happy.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions from the board to this? The recommendation that we table these two.
Yeah, I'm not sure you actually have to, I'll defer to Rob on this, but I'm not sure you have to actually vote to do anything because we haven't made a recommendation that you do anything.
No, they're on the agenda.
But if you want to vote, feel free.
I'll make a motion to table the two issues of non-compliance, Makaka Cemetery and Mukum Shalom Cemetery, as recommended by the division. So, second.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Those two
Aye.
are tabled for another month. Next board meeting is March 11th at 10:30 right here. This is where we open the up to the public to speak to the board. We have some guests, so.
Mark, do
Julie,
you want to take your point of privilege before we have Dave
Yeah, I'll
speak?
do it. Yeah, yep. So, thank you for coming. Anything you want to say to the board?
Thank you, Julie Snyder from Forest Lawn Cemetery Group in Buffalo, New York. Just pleased to be here, although we don't have anything in front of the board this month. Was happy to come and attend and continue to do the good work in Buffalo on behalf of our lot holders. So thank you.
Great, thank you.
Julie,
there
you want to
anybody-
share with me what you told me about Shirley Chisholm? Share with the group, I
Sure.
mean?
Sure. On November 30, 2024, Forest Lawn hosted with Assembly Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes recognition of the 100th anniversary of the birthday of Shirley Chisholm, who's entombed within our Birchwood Mausoleum. And we are anxiously awaiting a planned May 9th, 2025 dedication of a life-size bronze statue of Shirley Chisholm, sponsored by New York State Senator Sean Ryan, and done by local artist Julia Bottoms to be installed at the cemetery in front of the mausoleum. And it will be a great event, and we will make sure that members of the cemetery board are included in the invitation.
Okay, I guess thank you, Julie, for that update. We have to ask anybody online or anybody else want to comment, but I did want to also mention some mixed news. Rob Vanderbles, our esteemed counsel, is resigning to move to take this from the APA and ultimately move his family up to the Adirondacks, which is something we wanted to do for a long time. So you are a great lawyer and a better counsel and a good friend. So we wish you the best, even though we grieve the loss of your talents. Not exactly sure who will take over, but we've got, a plethora of lawyers who will step in to make the best of the bad situation.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for allowing me to be your counsel. I am sure that, I have this opportunity because of the good work that you do that reflects on me. And so thank you for that. I will miss you all dearly. And I look forward to this new challenge.
Yeah, well, good thoughts with you. So I still interrupted the public comment. Anybody online like to speak to the board?
Based on that news, I would like to say a few words. It's Rich Moylan from Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn and the current chairman of the Government Legal Affairs Committee. Rob, I'm sorry, very sorry to hear that news. We will miss you terribly. When you took over, we were in pretty bad shape, to be honest. Your predecessor and the cemeteries had a very unhealthy relationship, to put it mildly, and you restored our faith in the legal counsel of the cemetery board, and I only hope your successor brings to the job the excellence that you did. Thank you again.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, anybody else wishing to speak to the board?
Sure, David Fleming from the New York State Association of Cemeteries. I just wanted to encourage the division that we're happy to work with you on the cemetery cleanup day. We look forward to getting that information out to our members, and we had a lot of folks who helped participate last year, so I know that's an issue that matters a lot, not just to our members and our communities that we serve, but also our legislative representatives have been very interested in hearing about those efforts, so thank you for doing that. I just want to echo Mr. Moylan's comments. Robert, we'll miss you a great deal. Not always an easy situation when we deal with legislation and regulation, but your integrity and your thoughtfulness and your willingness to listen are so valued by the industry. And I think that it's an understatement to even say that. I think it's important that we have that partnership where we can listen and respect each other's positions, and you're highly respected by the industry. So thank you very much for your service.
Thank you.
I won't let you off the hook completely because we do occasionally do cemetery abandonment prevention classes in the Adirondacks, and we'd be happy to have you stop by the great Camp Sagamore at some point.
I love Camp Sagamore. In fact, and the town that I plan to move to runs a municipal cemetery, and I just happen to know New York State's expert on running municipal cemeteries. So you're not off the hook either.
Oh, well, they're very good. Our best to you and your family.
Thank you.
Anybody comments from the board or anything?
Yeah, we definitely appreciate your being here. You've helped explain a lot of things that I didn't understand as a board member. So appreciate your time, your effort, your talents. I'm gonna miss you.
The only thing I'll add for the people who don't work for us is that having dealt with other attorneys in counsel's office, some of you whom you've dealt with also, there are at least two, maybe three attorneys, maybe four attorneys I can think of in counsel's office who are fully familiar with what we do, understand the needs of the board and the industry. And I'm obviously not happy about this development, but I'm reasonably confident that our counsel's office does understand both what we do and what you need.
Absolutely. Okay, Jill, anything?
No.
Okay, great. So I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting of the New Cemetery Board.
I'll second that.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Have a great February.